When you're federally recognized as a tribe, most tribes have treaties with the United States. And the treaty is a contract between the tribe and the federal government. When the Constitution was made in 1787 through 89, during that time period, recognized and accepted and approved, Native American people were recognized by the Constitution as a foreign nation, along with foreign nations. Foreign nations and Indian tribes have treaties, can make treaties with the United States government, and that's like a contract, that's an agreement. And from that, Indian people are recognized as sovereign nations. They have the right to govern their own territory, their own people, they can have their own court systems, they can have their own schools, whatever. And so in this agreement, tribes gave up, in the treaty, what they did was they gave up land. For example, the Shoshones in Idaho gave up 44 million acres plus. And the federal government was so anxious to get our land. They were so anxious, and our elders took time and they thought about it and thought about the agreement. And as in any contract, there's a time it begins and the time it ends. Well, our elders said, well, we want this contract to end as long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the rivers flow. And they asked in these agreements, they said, we want our people to have access to education, to health, to housing, to all the programs that you see today on Indian reservations. And so the federal government has this agreement, and these agreements are there with federally recognized tribes. And so today, that's what the government agreed on. They're not handouts, wasn't given to us. It was an agreement. Just like if you sold your house, you expect a certain payment. And that's what our ancestors wanted. That's how precious, and land to us was priceless. And it was priceless to the point where as long as the sun shines. And when is the sun going to stop shining? Very long time, right? So federally recognized tribes have this agreement with the federal government, this contract, and this is what rights federally recognized Indians have.
My tribe is federally recognized. We are known as the Fallon, Paiute, and Shoshone tribe, but our federal name is the Fallon, Paiute, Shoshone tribe of the Fallon Reservation and Colony. That is our federally recognized name. There is some tribes in Nevada that have not had federal recognition, and in today's world, it's becoming a real hardship upon them because they cannot receive benefits as a Native person, as I would, as belonging to a Native tribe. I think that while there is other issues by not being federally recognized, that they can't participate legally in public programs or Native programs. With being federally recognized, there is also a responsibility to the United States government to some extent, meaning you are going to abide by the Constitution of the United States. And we also, with being federally recognized, there's self-determination, and with self-determination comes responsibilities to our tribal members. There has to be a full understanding of what self-determination means, how to govern our own selves, how to lead our own selves, how to qualify our own selves via membership purposes into our tribes. Some of them are really kind of, still to this day, are hard things to consider, whereas or such as, quantifying how much a person is, meaning a fraction. I mentioned that I was 1/2 Fallon Paiute, I was 1/2 Paiute, but my real quantum would be 3/4 Toi Te Kura and 1/4 Kup Te Kura, which means Fallon Paiute and Lovelock Paiute. So it even gets even more fractionated and more convoluted, with each tribe governing their own quantums as well. Some tribes have the ability to fully regulate how their membership works, or how they can qualify their membership, and some tribes go with traditional qualifications, such as traditional customs, like if a woman was to marry outside of her tribe, then she no longer is a tribal member. I think it is up to tribes, as far as their membership, when it comes to saying who is a tribal member of their tribe, whether they have a blood quantum or if they're adopted. But that's their decision to choose that. Self-determination is something that, to me, has always been secondary to the United States governments. It never has always felt like you had full self-governance, because there's always a big brother or a big umbrella over the tribes.
For East Bay Ohlone people, Chochenyo Ohlone people, we were once federally recognized in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, all the way to the 1920s. After the missions were secularized, our family, our ancestors, they lived in a post-mission Ohlone, but also multi-tribal village, which had Yokuts, Miwok people, but a lot of Ohlone people, called Alisal, which is over in the Pleasanton area. And during this time, there were Indian agents who went throughout the state, and they noticed that a lot of California Indian people were living in pretty negative conditions because of the effects of the missions. So what they did was they granted recognition to many different groups, including my family, my ancestors. So the current process for us, because I'm part of a tribal group called Muwekma, and Muwekma, they're fighting for reinstatement of tribal status, for at least the way that I understand it, because we were once recognized, our sovereignty was obviously violated, and we were basically taken off the list of recognized tribes. And a lot of it has to do with Alfred Kroeber and the Handbook of the California Indians, which inaccurately deemed us to be extinct, which obviously isn't true, because we know that we're not extinct. So now we're fighting to get our recognition reinstated. What this would do is it would give us sovereignty in our own territory. It would be able to let us have access to a lot of federal laws that are in place, including NAGPRA, which repatriates our ancestors so that they can be buried properly with dignity, with respect. It makes sure that we are able to have a direct say in new building that's around territories that are sacred to us, that are important to us. We're able to have healthcare benefits. There's certain federal benefits that would be beneficial, and most importantly for me, it gives us a direct say in our land, and make sure that we are recognized as a sovereign people. And this is something that I think that we are fighting for, that we want.